Hi, everybody. My name is Teresa Wilson. I am the Academic Advising Assistant in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering here at Virginia Tech. And today I have a few of our student ambassadors here to talk to you all about our program and to learn more about what civil engineering is all about, because I thought I knew what civil engineering was when I first came to the department, but it is way more than what you think about, in general and in daily life. I had a very kind of tunnel vision of civil engineering, but I didn't realize how the breadth of the actual field is. So if you're like me, and when I first started and didn't know a lot about it, we are going to show a quick video about civil engineering, and then we'll get in and rolling into the panelists, and then we can answer questions that you guys might have about the program and Virginia Tech and all that kind of great stuff. So,
civil engineering refers to the engineering profession that deals directly with infrastructure in the built environment. At Virginia Tech, students can concentrate in different areas of civil engineering. These include construction management, environmental and water resources, geotechnical, structures, materials, land development, or transportation. Everyone interacts with something a civil engineer designed every day. Some examples of civil engineering include roadways, sidewalks, buildings, traffic lights, bridges, or utilities such as water. Civil engineers are critical to creating and maintaining the world we live in. Virginia Tech ranks number 9 in the nation for best civil engineering schools.
Basically, civil engineering encompasses anything in the built world. So anything that's not green has been touched by a civil engineer. So you can imagine that it deals with when you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth, where's that water coming from? That's water resources engineering, okay? If you think about when you flush the toilet, where does that wastewater go? That is all about civil engineering. If you're talking about the buildings that you work in and play in, those structures, that's part of civil engineering. The roads you drive on, the airplanes you travel, airports, those are all transportation related. And then you have things like geotechnical, which deals with foundations. And then you have the area of environmental engineering. So air quality, water quality, those have been big issues that we have been dealing with in our daily lives, and that are part of what we do. So you probably have heard about a couple of our professors here, with Dr. Lindsay Martin talking about her mass research with COVID-19, and how we protect ourselves and the aerosolization of the virus. And then we get back to Dr. Mark Edwards with the Flint water crisis. So we touch on a lot of different things within civil engineering. So it's pretty amazing what we do. But enough from me. You guys probably want to hear from our 3 amazing student ambassadors. So I'm going to allow them each to unmute one at a time, and then they will introduce themselves. And like I said, if you guys start to have questions, please put those in the Q&A or in the chat. Okay, thanks. And Stephanie, why don't you go first?
Okay, so hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm a sophomore in civil engineering. I'm planning to focus in land development and transportation starting in the fall of my junior year. And just this summer, I'm looking at doing an internship in construction in Blacksburg, so I'll be in the area for a while.
Awesome, Stephanie. Salem, you want to go next?
Hello, I'm Salem Zodio. I'm a junior, majoring in civil engineering, of course, with focus in transportation and environmental engineering, and I'm also minoring in green engineering.
Awesome, Salem. And Sakshi?
Hi, I'm Sakshi. I am a senior, so last semester. I am majoring in civil engineering, but I'm focusing on water resources and environmental engineering. I am, this summer I'm actually, well, not this summer, for my life, I guess. I'm working for Fairfax County government, which is a NOVA for those of you who are from there or know from there.
Awesome. So why don't we kind of get this started? If a question for all 3 of you, and you guys can just start one at a time. what is it about civil engineering that appeals to you? So what kind of made you choose civil engineering as your major, right? Because there's so many different majors you can choose here within the College of Engineering. So why civil engineering? And yeah, just why civil engineering? So we'll start with Salem.
Well, for me, it definitely started with wanting to do something that I can see the effects of it, like in my day-to-day life. And with transportation, I moved from, if you're from the Alexandria, DC area, the metro buses and dash buses, it's like transportation is it's very available there. And then I moved further into the suburbs where transportation was not available. And it was just something that I started seeing the effects on my family and not having a car, just things, things that I really cared about, and also the social effects of it as well. So I just really cared about that, and I wanted to be a part of changing that.
Sakshi?
For me, I originally wanted to do architecture engineering, and I came into tech and decided to do civil because it was like the most similar thing. As I said earlier, I didn't even do structures. I'm doing water resources and environmental. But for me, it was mostly that civil engineering was a jack of all trades kind of major, and I like to say I'm a jack of all trades kind of girl. Also, like as someone said, the impact on people is very interesting.
Awesome. Stephanie?
So I think I'm pretty similar to Salem. I really like the scale of the projects and being able to see what you design being implemented. And specifically in land development, I really like using CAD programs and Civil 3D. So it's definitely a good focus to continue my growth in that.
Stephanie, if you want to talk some more about what land development is, I think that's an important thing that maybe people are not familiar with and is uncommon among a lot of civil engineering programs and is unique to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, so land development is very unique to Virginia Tech, and luckily we have a professor that kind of helped build the whole program here. And I want to go as far as saying Virginia Tech might have one of the most complete programs in that, and the most complete master's program for land development. So it kind of combines a lot of the other focuses. It uses a lot from structures and construction. So it kind of focuses on surveying different lands, preparing them for construction, and then you use a lot of CAD and more of the office side of construction, I would say, to build different plans and stuff along those lines.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie. So we do have a question. So Warren is asking, how hands-on is the civil engineering program at Virginia Tech? And a follow-up to that would be, what's the focus between being in the classroom and then being in the field? So we'll let Salem start this one off.
So I think it's a good split of both. There are some courses where you'll be doing a lot of like hands-on work. The one I can think of is measurements, which you should take probably around your sophomore year, second semester, first semester, where you'll be out in the field and you'll be in the classes with Dr. Young, who's also very much involved in the land development courses. Stephanie could talk about that. And also in materials lab, you'll be doing a lot of hands-on experiments as well. So I think it's a good split between both.
Sakshi, do you want to follow up on that?
As Salem was saying about like how in materials and measurements you do hands-on, one of the things that's interesting about civil is so there's 8 disciplines and you have to do 6, and at least in those 6 you have to do at least 2 labs. And in that you get a lot of hands-on experience and like get to do testing in the lab where you wouldn't necessarily get to do in other programs.
So Stephanie, being a sophomore, you just took measurements. So can you explain, kind of a little bit more about what you did in measurements and how you see that play out in, the future work that you want to do in land development?
So I'm currently enrolled in measurements, and even given the current situation, our lab is still outside, still in person. We work in small groups. So we go outside, we use a lot of different lab equipment, and we'll just survey different parts of lands. Like we've done a lot with traverse, and just it kind of varies. So it can be applied to, Dr. Young is very good at making sure that each thing we do applies to one of the different focuses, because everyone is required to take measurements. then later on, like Sakshi was saying, you do have labs that you're required to take as a part of your curriculum. So it is pretty hands-on, and you can kind of choose where the hands-on is in your interests.
Awesome. So to follow up on some of the points that our panelists discussed, the unique part about civil engineering here at Virginia Tech is that you really take command of your education. And I think all three can attest to the flexibility of our curriculum. We give you guidelines, as a department to say these, you have to follow this kind of like you take this many classes in this area and this many classes in this area, but you really get to choose the areas in which you get to study. So if you're really interested in, land development, you can start studying about land development. And like Sakshi mentioned, she's like, I was going to go into structures, and then she's moved into water. So we see that a lot. And it's great because, we do provide a breadth of knowledge for all of our students when they graduate from the program. Because, and I'm sure that our panelists can attest to, is they all play with one another, right? If you're in land development, you got to know how the water people work because you got to bring water to wherever you're going to go, right? Or you're dealing with wastewater from a development, maybe, and that sort of thing. So everything kind of, they all kind of talk to one another, and you got to know when you got to pull a geotechnical engineer, or you need a structural engineer, or you need a water resources engineer, and that sort of thing. So awesome. So kind of along these lines, we talk about civil engineering for sure, but why Virginia Tech? Why should you choose Virginia Tech, right? Because there's lots of great civil engineering programs around the country, but why Virginia Tech? So Stephanie, you want to go ahead and start on this one?
Yeah, so I'm actually from out of state of Virginia. So Virginia Tech was not initially where I was looking. I was looking at different schools in Maryland. And then when I came to Virginia Tech, it just really appealed to me, like the community, and there's such a sense of community. I met so many people on campus when I was just touring, like random people would come up and say hi to me, or random people would open the door even like at a really far distance. It was just so unique from all of my tours that I knew I just wanted to come somewhere like here.
Salem?
Yeah, I have to agree with Stephanie. I'm from Virginia, and my older sister went to Tech. So when I came here to visit her many times, there was a sense of community that you just feel once you're on campus. It's simple things. People hold doors for you. They're very kind. People are very nice. And also the professors are very engaged, especially in the civil engineering department, which I've noticed. They're very engaged with students, and there's always place to make a relationship with them. So yeah, that's why I chose Tech.
Sakshi?
So I'm kind of different, where I chose Virginia Tech in fourth grade, and I kind of like just stuck to it, even though I had no family that went to Virginia Tech or anything. I just steer stubbornness. But my senior year of high school, I finally did visit, and I did it during the 3.2 for 32, which is like the walk for remembrance of the Virginia Tech shooting. And just the community, and as Salem and Stephanie have said, but seeing the alum come back and still be part of that community was a very big deal for me.
Awesome. So, Virginia Tech and civil engineering, everyone can just, keep putting questions in the chat, or you put them in the Q&A. We'd love to answer any of those questions. So please be sure to put those in. But for me, the college experience, I did have academics, but I had fun outside of academics. And while we've been kind of limited here during the pandemic, I know that you all have had time to be on campus. So were there any other activities that were memorable for you to like participate in that you want to share, like a club or something unique that you kind of, and it doesn't have to be civil related, right? So, there's like the Quidditch club that plays out on the drill field and stuff. So if you participate in anything like that, if you want to just quickly share those things, that would be great. So we'll start with Sakshi.
So I'm actually part of a STEM sorority, and so is Stephanie. We're in the same STEM sorority, Alpha Omega Epsilon, and that's become a huge part of my life. And of course, there's the American Society for Civil Engineers, which is for civil engineers, but they also do really cool field trips and stuff like that. So it's not just academic. They will, like, we have a rock quarry for Hokey Stone, so you can go out there and get some rocks, and it's just all good fun.
Awesome. Salem?
So I'm a part of several cultural organizations, and I was also a orientation leader last summer. So I was welcoming students to Virginia Tech. It was quite different. It was our first time doing it all online, but it was still a lot of fun. And I got to learn more about Virginia Tech, learn more about the students that were going to come here. So that was kind of fun.
Stephanie?
One of the events that I heard about when I first visited Tech was the big event where it's a huge day for volunteering. And that was like one of the first times I ever toured when I was a senior in high school. I came that weekend. So it was very exciting to see all of that. And that was something that made me very excited to participate in once I came here, and I'm signed up to participate. So I'm looking forward to that. And then like Sakshi said, I'm also in Alpha Omega Epsilon, which has also become a large part of my life. And having like that sense of community and stuff just makes it so much more fun to learn about tech and see different parts of the campus and community.
What does post-degree career job opportunities look like in summer internships? So, Sakshi, if you could address like your job offer that you've received with Fairfax County, and and then Stephanie, if you want to talk about your internship, that would be great. So Sakshi go first, and then Stephanie after, and then I kind of will do a general thing after that.
So one of the good things about civil engineering at Virginia Tech is that we have our own career fair, which means specific civil engineering companies come just to meet you guys, or like us. And for me, I've gotten interviews just based on meeting a company at the career fair, and they're very engaged with the students during these career fairs. And so for me, my job, I got it by interviewing with them the day after the career fair. And a week later, I had to do references. And then like 5 days later, after the references, I got a job. So companies are looking to hire you, and they come to Tech because they know that we produce good students.
Stephanie?
So I kind of had the same experience. I went to there's a civil career fair specific to tech. I went to that and I talked to a few different companies, and from those companies, most of them gave me their applications for the online. I would apply online, and then I heard back from a few companies. I did 2 interviews, which I'm still like in the process of between interviews and getting the internship, but I'm planning to do an internship in Blacksburg this summer. So kind of same experience. I went to the civil career fair. Virginia Tech also has something very similar to LinkedIn, but very specific to Virginia Tech students called Handshake. And I've used that also to apply to a lot of internships, which has been very nice to hear back from. And those applications are very specific to Virginia Tech students also.
Stephanie, who are you going to work for this summer? Awesome.
Draper Aiden in Blacksburg. It's a construction.
Awesome. Yeah, they do land development too. Okay. Salem, I know you've had internships as well, right?
So I haven't had internships. I've been mainly working casually over the summer. But as they both have said, the career fairs are a wonderful place to find an internship, a job, a co-op. And also there are a lot of alumni who come back during the career fair. So you get to talk to Virginia Tech students who now work at a civil engineering company, which I think is very interesting and very helpful in making a connection.
So I'll just echo what the panelists have talked about. We do have 2 career fairs. We have one in the fall and one in the spring. They are heavily attended. They're usually sold out pretty quickly. We will get inquiries about when the dates are 3, 4, or 5 months in advance. And then people want to book for the next semester. If you want a job, you can get a job. It's not, we are bringing everyone to you. They are motivated and they know the quality of the students that we have. So definitely a lot of students being able, and even when we had a downturn in the economy, our students are still being hired and still getting very good positions and making, very good salaries coming out of the program. Okay, so the next question is, did any of you guys do Hypatia? And if so, could you talk about, Hypatia is the Living Learning Center for Engineering, and that's the female Hypatia. There's Hypatia and Galileo. So Galileo is for male students, and then Hypatia is for female students. So since we have a female panel, they've all done Hypatia if they participate in Hypatia. So if anyone wants to talk about their experience with it, that would be awesome.
We can talk about this. So I'm an upper class leader in Hypatia right now. I still live in Hogue Hall, the home of Hypatia. I was in it my freshman year. I had a really good experience with it. It opens a lot of doors professionally and academically. There's a lot of unique tools that they give us specific to our community. And I feel like I've made a very close-knit group of friends in my community. So I really like all the aspects of it. I obviously like it. I stayed in it for a second year. It's very nice. You work with the seed department, which is very exciting. So yeah. So when you join Hypatia, your fall semester, you take a seminar specific to Hypatia. It's just a 1-credit class that is added to your schedule. You go in, do different projects, such as there's the career fair. One night you have to go to the career fair. That's part of your project. One day you have to email a professional engineer and just it works on networking skills and different things like that. It helps you build a resume. So that's the seminar part. You also have service hours you're required to get and professional requirements, social requirements. So it forces you to develop your skills in all aspects of that. And it's pretty unique for what it is. I really recommend it for anyone that's considering it.
Awesome. Thank you. So the next question is when you apply, talking about questions about applications. So I will take this one. When you apply to Virginia Tech, you are going to apply to general engineering. All incoming freshmen to the university who are interested in engineering are going to apply to the College of Engineering. There is a common first-year program that all engineers go through. After your freshman year, right? Like right now, all the freshmen right now are all going to information sessions set out by all the degree granting departments to talk about the various majors. So what happens first is you apply into general engineering, and from there, then you apply to one of the degree granting departments. So you really are not, kind of thrown into it right away. But if you know that civil engineering is where you want to be, there's probably newer than what our panelists know, but you can actually choose a interest area as a freshman. When you apply, not when you come to Tech, you'll be able to kind of declare that I'm interested in civil engineering. But you can always change it, right? A lot of people come in and they think that they want to start off in mechanical or aero, and then they're like, maybe not so much. Or like something transformative happened where they had an experience of learning more about what material science engineering might be, or mining, or something like that, or civil, right? And so then they'll make a transition and apply into those different programs. So basic answer is you apply to the College of Engineering, and you apply into being in the College of Engineering. Then after that, you move into more of the degree granting departments. Okay. The next one is, how do professors handle the transition of learning from high school to college? So maybe you guys can answer, because I don't know what it's like nowadays, because it's been a long time for me. But if you guys want to talk about how that transition happened from when you guys, kind of when you came in as freshmen. So we'll start off with Salem.
So as Teresa just said, once you enter, it's general engineering. So we have a lot of general engineering courses that we take, like chemistry, our calculus courses and things like that. So you're not going to get thrown into upper level courses immediately. There's a bit of cushioning between coming in and then taking upper level courses. And I think the professors who teach those 1,000 level courses handle that pretty well. They're aware that you're just transitioning from high school to college. So I wouldn't say it's immediately getting thrown into a gauntlet of just like, this is a super hard. And there's also a lot of support. I know many centers there's a couple centers on campus that have tutoring, and you can have one-on-one tutoring or group tutoring. I know some organizations like NSBE do tutoring as well. So there are many opportunities to get support if you feel like you need
it. Stephanie?
So I agree that going straight into general engineering is very helpful for the transition. You do take general engineering classes, which kind of, if you're on the edge of any major, it forces you to learn about each major, which definitely helps in the transition of deciding before just going head into one major. I also, outside of the classroom, in Hypatia, you're required to have a mentor and a mentee group. But even if you're not in Hypatia, you can be a part of seed mentoring, where you would still have a mentor and a mentee group. So it is kind of nice to have like a forced conversation once a week with other freshmen going through the same thing and have an upperclassman to help guide you. So that's not exclusive to Hypatia, and I recommend that. That really helps with transitioning.
Are there any specific events that we strongly recommend for civil engineering students? Career fairs. So the civil specific one in the College of Engineering, there is Expo, right? So Engineering Expo is like the big one for like everybody within the College of Engineering. It is huge. I didn't know how big it was, and I went one year and I was like flabbergasted. The really amazing thing is that we have a specific civil engineering one, and that is big too. I would say we'd have at least 100 companies come every semester. So Expo is great. I think the civil engineering one is better just because it's more driven to what you want to do, like as a civil engineer. Students from other majors will come as well, like construction engineering management, maybe from the College of Natural Resources will come to, just because there's some crossover, some biological systems engineering, because they do a lot of water type of things, will come. So there's a lot of different events as far as those career fairs. Study abroad. Did any of you guys do study abroad? Do study abroad? So Sakshi, do you want to talk about what you did for study abroad?
Yeah, so I didn't actually make it, but I helped set up a little bit of the study abroad program in the Dominican Republic, as my minor is Spanish. So, and it's to a college in the Dominican Republic which is really good at engineering. So you would actually learn engineering and civil engineering specifically, of course, in the Dominican Republic, and it's a great program, and I know it's still a program. It's just it was the first year when I was helping with it, and it didn't work out in the end.
Stephanie, did you say that you were doing study abroad, or are you considering study abroad?
So I actually had 2 different study abroad trips planned, and unfortunately both were canceled to COVID, but I can talk about them. There's a class I took my freshman year called the Rising Sophomore Abroad Program. It's a class that you take all semester, and you just learn about the country that you're going to go to, and you do a lot of research about engineering culture in that country. So it's a 3-credit seminar. It counts as a pathway. As soon as the semester ends, you take a 2-week trip to that country. I was supposed to go to Australia and New Zealand. That being said, it was canceled. And then also this upcoming fall, I was planning to study abroad with civil engineering professors at the Steger Center for Virginia Tech. That's their abroad campus. There's a program very specific to civil engineering for the Steger Center. It's taught by Virginia Tech professors, and I like this program because it's with Virginia Tech. You don't have to really worry about transferring credits or falling behind, because you know exactly what classes you're going to take and you know what they count for. So I was planning to do that. That is postponed to the spring, so I'm not sure if it'll work out with my schedule anymore, but I was planning for that one.
Still might happen. I think Dr. Leone was going to head that one. So there are those. There's also, we in civil engineering, we have an international education kind of advisor, but she also oversees all of the international education that happens within the department. And so if you have kind of specific questions, you can go abroad. I had a student go to Oviedo in Spain, and she took classes there. We worked it out. We were able to transition them over and count them for classes here at Virginia Tech. So you have a couple of things as far as exchange programs. We have exchange agreements, with universities across the globe. And so, those options are definitely available. The Steger Center is a university. It's in Switzerland, Lugano. Yes, right, Lugano. I just want to make sure. So it's Lugano, and a lot of the different colleges around campus send students there, and they have classes there. So there's an actual physical building, a center there, and so we would have had a civil engineering. I know Pamplin does stuff there too, and all sorts of things. So that's College of Business, and so there's a lot of different opportunities. So if you're interested in it, it's great. There's service trips too. Like I had a student go to Rwanda and build like a water purification unit for a village in Rwanda. And so she spent her group spent all semester, fundraising, but also doing all the planning. What do you need? They had what kind of filter are you going to use and all that kind of, how are they going to build it, right? And then they physically went to build it. So those are kind of really amazing trips that are available. So this is a great question. What is the typical class size of engineering classes during between the sophomore, junior, and senior year? So why don't we start with Sakshi, since she's been through all three of those now.
So sophomore year is when you're starting out with your so like I'm graduating class of 2021, so I'm in the class of 2021. So that's when you start out with most of the people who will graduate with you, or some other people who are taking the class early or later. So those class sizes are very large. It can be anywhere from 30 to 100 people, but it's still personal. I know it doesn't sound like it can be with so many people, but still is. Junior year is when you're taking smaller classes, so those are more around 30 to 40 people usually. You can still take bigger classes, but that's like up to how you schedule your 4 years. And senior year is when you really focus in on your specialties, and even within the specialties, there's like subcategories that you can do. So my class sizes are usually anywhere from 15 to 20 people.
Salem, do you want to talk about, since you're a junior, how your junior level class size has been?
So as Sakshi said, around junior year, it starts to get a lot smaller from compared to sophomore year. But I will say that even in sophomore year, even in large classes, there were times where we would have those large classes, but in smaller groups. So the one I can think of is the huge intro to civil engineering course that's taught in the fall. We were still able to have a small groups class alongside it. So we were able to have a little bit more of an intimate relationship with it's taught with TAs. So we also got to learn a little bit more about the major itself, because we would have a TA who's a senior, who's already been through it. And also like labs, you'd have smaller sections. So even if a class is pretty big, there are opportunities to have it in a smaller setting.
Stephanie, do you want to add anything to it? We have one of every level in this panel. It just dawned on me. So Stephanie, do you want to talk about the sophomore year experience?
Yeah, I'll say for sophomore year, I'm in a lot of intro to civil engineering lectures, and the lectures are all very large, but the lab aspects of all of them are very small. I'm in civil measurements. I think our lecture may be around 200 people actually. And my lab is about 30 people. My lab group is about 5 people. That's pretty normal. I took like a geology class. It was the same way, like a very large lecture, but the lab group is very, very small.
Awesome. So next question is, when is the best time to study abroad with this major? I'm going to kind of field this one a little bit, just because not many of our panelists have done study abroad. Study abroad is something you need to plan for. So if it's something that you're really interested in doing, then that is something that you talk to your academic advisor about. So you would talk to someone like me, and you would say, hey, I want to do a study abroad. And I would say, okay. And we would try to figure out your 4-year plan. So there's a lot of planning that happens. Do things change? Absolutely. They change every semester. And so that's where academic advisors come in. and we help you figure some of those things out. So as far as the best time is whenever you're ready to do it. Usually it just kind of depends on where you're going to go, what kind of study abroad you're going to do. So there's service study abroad trips, right? That you may go a semester and then you go on a 2-week trip afterwards, right? So within our department, we have a bridges class that usually happens in the spring. And then they go on a 2-week trip throughout Europe looking at bridges and studying the design of bridges. It's super cool. I've seen the pictures from it. It's amazing, right? We have also, service trips where, for the semester they will fundraise, but they will also gather, design things to help. I had a student who helped to design like a biofilter for water for a small village in Rwanda, and their group went to Rwanda and they built it for that village. And she said it was an amazing experience, life-changing for her, right? So it just depends on what you mean by study abroad. If you want to go and do an exchange program, those are usually either semester or a year long. Those can all be factored in. So if the sooner you want to do it, the sooner you need to tell your academic advisor, and then they'll help you assist you in the process. And you can definitely still graduate in 4 years and do study abroad. It's possible, but it requires a lot of planning. So that would be my advice on that one. So I hope that answers your question. Green engineering. So Salem, do you want to talk about, the question is, how do you feel that green engineering connects with the civil engineering major, and why? Maybe talk a little bit about why you took on this the green engineering minor.
So I really care about sustainability in engineering. I think green engineering is a very important thing, especially with a lot of the changes in the climate that we've been having. I think it's an important aspect of engineering that we should all focus on. And I think it fits perfectly into the civil engineering major. When I was looking at, so many of the minors will have a checklist of classes that you need to complete to be able to get the minor. And when I looked at it, it turned out that I would only have to take one extra class, and that was the intro to the green engineering class. Since civil engineering has many specialty areas, classes in environmental specialty area and the water resources one, many of them also fit into the green engineering minor. So I was able to, well, I haven't acquired it yet, but I'll be able to acquire the minor pretty easily. And the classes are very interesting to me. So yeah, I think it fits in very well. I think it's an easy minor to apply to the civil engineering major.
So thank you, Salem, for your answer. The next one, is there a 5-year master's program? Yes, there is. It depends on how fast you kind of want to do it. So I'll kind of take this just because none of our panelists are at that point in their careers. So you can do what we call the accelerated program, where you can start to take graduate level courses during your senior year. You would have to meet certain criteria in order to be a part of that. You need to have, depending on, there's kind of 2 different levels. So depending on your GPA, usually you need above a 3.0 for one, and the other one a 3.5 or higher. And that will allow you to double count courses between your bachelor's and master's degree here at Virginia Tech. So depending on what kind of specialty area you want to go into. So typically, these are for students who are usually in structures. So if you're interested in structures, to be a structural engineer, you must have a master's degree. That's just how it is. So a lot of students who are interested in structures will take the extra year here at Virginia Tech, because a lot of the classes will just move over, right? And so they've had a lot of these professors anyway, they'll move over. The unique part about that program is that it's a non-thesis option, so it's just coursework only, so you just do the prescribed coursework. And yes, you can finish, your master's degree in that last year. So that is possible. A lot of our students, if you're in, so that's very specific to structures. other disciplines like environmental. So you can get a master's in civil engineering, or you can get a master's in environmental engineering. That is the unique part about our department. And so depending on which kind of, if you wanted the master's in civil engineering, you want the master's in environmental engineering, that's going to depend on, if you have a project, whether you have a thesis or not, that can add time. So yes, there is one. It's very nuanced question. So it kind of depends on what area you want to go into, if you're looking at that sort of thing. We have a brand new land development master's program that's getting kicked off this fall. So I know a few of my students who are graduating this May are rolling right into that program. They're doing the accelerated program now, so they're taking that coursework now to move into their master's program. One is probably planning to stay and do her PhD as well. So it just depends, but those are certainly possibilities for students to have. So yes, there is, but it depends. So it's a long answer to probably a very short question. So hopefully I answered that for you. So Sakshi, I'm going to let you talk about what is environmental engineering, because that blew my mind when I came to the department, because I was like, oh yeah, it's all about like saving the earth, which it is, but it's not too, So what could you talk about what environmental engineering means?
So environmental engineering can mean a lot of things. So I've taken a variety of courses in it. So I actually did my senior design in it, and it was designing a water treatment plant, which I know sounds more like water resources, but it is environmental engineering, because it's so you do a lot of work in how, when you release something into the environment, like how is it going to affect the environment? How is it going to affect people? It's essentially a lot of work in how something affects another. So right now, a superstar in the department is Lindsay Marr, and she's doing a lot of research in air pollution and COVID, and how COVID in the air affects with masks and everything. So she's done a lot of talks about that. So that's part of environmental engineering. Another part of environmental engineering can be public health. So why are people getting sick in a certain region? Is it because of the water? Is it because of the air? It's a variety of things that you kind of think about it and you're like, maybe it's like restoring a forest, but it's so much more than not just that.
Awesome. So I am going to shift a little bit, because I know that we didn't talk. I'll go over a little bit about curriculum, because I think everybody kind of touched upon it. And I don't, in the, I think our attendees are mainly like high school students. So how the civil engineering curriculum works is that I call it choose your own adventure. And when I was a kid, I had a choose your own adventure book, and you like turn to page 1. It's like, if you choose A, go to page 5. If you choose B, go to page 23. And so I like that you get to take control of your education, and it's really important. I think it's a great way to be more involved in what you're learning and how you're learning. So we as a department will prescribe saying, you need to take a certain number of these kinds of courses, a certain number of these kinds of courses, and a certain number of these kinds of courses. And so our goal as a department is to give you breadth, right? A little bit about a lot of stuff, but then also depth. You're going to specialize. That's why when we talked earlier, I asked the students about their specialty. So there's within our department, we have 8 different specialty areas to which students can take a focus in on. Because when you apply, you become a civil engineer, but you're becoming a civil engineer in a specific field. So like Salem is going to go into transportation. So she may work for a Department of Transportation, maybe. So she could work for VDOT, or she could work for, California. I'm from California, so we have Caltrans, right? And so she's going to be probably helping to find solutions to transportation problems, right? So there's lots of different things you can do. She could also work for a private firm, right? So she could also work for a company that gets hired to say, okay, we are working on I just had a student who just took a position with a company, and he'll be working on the I-66. And so he'll be working on that, during his tenure with the new company he's going to go into. So those kinds of things, like determining, like, how wide do you make a freeway, and on ramps, off ramps, those are all transportation problems. My personal favorite is traffic signals. And my husband and I was actually talking about this today. Like, how long do you really wait at that stoplight? So that's transportation. I mean, that's very small. I mean, very, very small, but the law encompasses a lot of different things. And so you can specialize. So Salem will specialize in transportation. She's going to take a lot of advanced coursework in transportation areas, right? So she can learn more about airport planning. She can learn about traffic signal processing, pavement design, those kinds of things. And then she'll do geometric design of highways. Will probably be her design project. So those are all kind of cool things that a student interested in transportation would definitely take. So there's a lot of things, but I'm always amazed by students who come in like Sakshi and say, like, this is what I'm going to do, and I say, great, that's awesome. Here's how you're going to do and fulfill that career goal. And then that same student will come back and say, no, I don't want to do that. And I say, that's okay. I really love materials. So they're going to learn about concrete and cement and all that kind of jazz, and like the formulations of those things. And that's their jam. I'm like, that's great. And so you're going to get to learn a lot about different things, and there's a lot of interplay, right? So Stephanie's into land development. Well, she's probably going to possibly need to work with a transportation engineer, because how are you going to get people in, people out, all that kind of stuff. They all kind of play together, right? And so it's really important that you kind of know, like, oh, I have this problem. I don't have expertise, but I know what kind of engineer I need. So that's kind of a cool thing about it. And so we can definitely say that there's also, possibilities for you to get a job. I mean, ultimately, college is about, preparing you to go on into a career. We didn't talk about it too much, but we do have 2 career fairs that happen a year just for civil engineering. So there's multiple other career fairs that happen around campus, but civil engineering wise, there's 2 specific ones that we host as a department to kind of help our students find jobs and internships. So we ultimately love you, but we definitely wanted to see you go forth and apply the knowledge that you get here in solving the problems that we see in our world around us, for sure. I would love to thank everyone for coming. I really appreciate it and spending your time with us. And thanks to our 3 panelists, Sakshi, Stephanie, and Salem, for sharing their time with us, because I know they all have projects and homework to do, I'm sure. So I appreciate their time. So thank you all for coming. So thank you.